Welcome to the guide, Exile. This guide is going to be focused around the upcoming Legacy League, what it is, what it brings back to us, and how to navigate all of it. As many of you know, and others that have watched my Beginner's Guide series, Path of Exile is heavily based around temporary league play. Over the span of Path of Exile's life, from all the way back in open beta, there have been optional temporary leagues, 17 up to now to be specific. Man, that's a lot. Temporary leagues were initially made as beta testing realms for the new game mechanics, but over time, they have been the main form in which the game is played. These leagues generally introduce new mechanics and last for about 3 months, bringing along a fresh high scores ladder and economy, meaning that you begin with no items or characters. Now that we know what a temporary league is, what's so special about it for Legacy League? Well, with Legacy League, we'll be revisiting all those league mechanics in full force as if we never left them. Now, of course, having all of the previous leagues turned up to 100 would result in a bad time. Well, at least for most of us anyways. So there's a special system in place just for that reason. We will be getting those leagues encapsulated in a nice small league stone. These will drop as regular loot, but unlike other items, they will be corrupted upon drop, so they cannot be altered. Each league stone will have a default of 3 uses and come in various rarities, with affixes that buff the league mechanic even further, or adding more uses to the stone, further increasing the stone's value and rewards. Some examples of these league stones include the Enduring Anarchy League Stone of Thaumaturgy. This modifies the stone so that it not only has 3 Rogue Exiles, but it also has +2 charges to use, and the Rogue Exiles will each drop a skill gem with a random percentage quality. The Plentiful Essence League Stone of Corruption. The area will contain at least 1 frozen essence monster, and the stone also corrupts the essences in the next area, making them more powerful, while also adding another 2 essences to the area. Now, how do we use these league stones? Well, GGG again was kind enough to provide us a page to insert these stones into, to have them activate on creation of new zones. This page also shows the remaining uses left on each stone via a graphical bar. The league stones can be swapped in and out of this page in towns or hideouts at no cost. Whilst playing in zones with a league active, you are also eligible to receive uniques that were exclusive to those leagues. This means that some leagues, Nemesis, will be really sought after for their unique item drops. Many old league uniques have been buffed to bring them in line with current player and monster power levels, so that they could possibly become very valuable. But still, the Headhunter unique belt from Nemesis, which allows you to steal rare monster affixes, inflating your power level to ridiculous levels, will more than likely be the most sought after unique. Now, since league stones are items, they can be traded just like any other item. This means if you get a really good league stone, it may make it very valuable to other players in search of that league mechanic. So let's talk about all of the previous leagues and get some insight on what mechanics they added, and some of the important uniques that were specific to those leagues. Since there were so many leagues introduced since 2013, I will discuss the leagues in a chronological order from the first league that was introduced, Anarchy, all the way up to the most recent league, Breach. Now, previous to the Talisman League, all leagues had a softcore and hardcore variant, each having a different mechanic. Anarchy League was the first softcore league released alongside Onslaught, and it added Rogue Exiles. These are unique enemies that use player skills to deal, evade, and mitigate damage. They can be very deadly if the player is not prepared, and quite elusive to kill. Rogue Exiles drop a massive quantity of items and always include at least 1 item for each equipable slot. This means that they will always drop a full set of gear upon death, making them very worth hunting down and killing. Some dangerous exiles to watch out for include Antali Nepora. She will use caustic arrows to deal chaos damage, as well as an ice shot to freeze you, and lightning arrow which can deal massive damage if it chains between you and other monsters. Vicus Giant Bone uses a bear trap to lock you down, and then places 2 ethereal knife totems around you to deal massive physical damage. Make sure to have good flasks and movement skills ready for this exile. And Zandro Blood Drinker. He uses a very fast attack and ground slam ability which stuns the player and deals a lot of physical damage. This can be very deadly while leveling. Some valuable uniques to look for, exclusive to Anarchy and Onslaught, are Chavaron's Revelation, which provides unique modifiers depending on which ring slot it is worn in. The most powerful to most is the right ring slot, providing a juicy 3% shield regeneration at the cost of no mana regeneration, which can be easily overcome by Mana Leech. Val's Devotion, which provides very powerful mechanics for charge generation. It is mainly used in discharge builds, which expend charges of any type to deal damage. Onslaught was the first hardcore league introduced to Path of Exile alongside Anarchy League. This league was very simple in its mechanics in that it only granted monsters Onslaught, which is a 20% increase in attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed. We can now obtain this buff as a player quite easily through items such as Silver Flasks, passive points in the tree, or unique items that grant the Onslaught on kill. So there is not really much to talk about here in terms of mechanics. The same valuable uniques from Anarchy apply here in Onslaught. Shavron's Revelation involves Devotion. Domination was the second softcore league released alongside Nemesis that introduced Shrines. Shrines appear in zones randomly and provide a very powerful buff to the monsters around it until the player touches it and takes the buff for themselves. This buff will last for 45 seconds and can be stacked with other shrine buffs if there are numerous in the area. But like flasks, you cannot stack the same buff numerous times. Some shrine examples include the Acceleration Shrine. It gives 100% increased attack, cast, and movement speed, as well as 80% projectile speed. Diamond, which always deals critical strikes, however this does not override Resolute Technique. Divine, this means anything in the area is immune to damage, and if you take it, you're immune to damage. And finally Massive, which provides you an increase in your character size, area, and your maximum life. Now unfortunately in Domination, there are no major value League exclusive uniques to be looking for. Good old Nemesis. Nemesis was the second hardcore league released alongside Domination that introduced Nemesis modifiers to rare monsters. These modifiers make rare monsters more difficult to defeat as they have more mechanics to be aware of. Nemesis monsters are identified by their orange color versus the standard yellow color of a rare monster. Their Nemesis affix is denoted by the orange text underneath their name. Some useful and dangerous Nemesis affixes to look out for include Corrupting Blood. This applies a bleeding effect to your character when you hit the monster, and can stack up to 20 times, each stack dealing damage proportional to the monster's damage. This means some Corrupting Blood can be very deadly and kill your character very fast. Luckily, it can be removed with a bleeding flask. Proximity Shield. You can only damage the monster while the damage source is inside of the shield. So this means if you're ranged, you have to be within the shield, but if you're a totem user, you can just place the totem inside of the shield. You don't have to be in it. Soul Eater. The rare Nemesis monster will consume the souls of nearby dying monsters. Its affixes, health, damage, and size are all increased per soul consumed. This can make them very deadly if you're killing lots of monsters around them. Volatile Flame, Ice, or Storm Bloods. These Nemesis monsters explode upon death, dealing the damage of the respective element in a small area of effect. The damage is based on the life of the monster that is killed, so it is best to try and kill these monsters from a distance, as one explosion could just kill your character. Now for the valuable Nemesis exclusive uniques. This is of course the Headhunter, which is one of the most valuable uniques to exist due to its rarity and its power that it grants the player. That is until this league, where it'll be farmed to no end, and possibly become a little bit less rare. Ambush was the third softcore league released alongside Invasion and introduced strongboxes to the game. Strongboxes house 3 packs of monsters waiting to ambush anybody who opens it, as well as a bunch of loot. Strongboxes like gear can be crafted with currency to alter and improve the contained items and monsters. Here are a list of all the strongbox bases. Ultimately, these boxes provide more monsters to kill and a greater chances at targeted loot. It is always worth making a box at least of magic quality before opening it, and always stopping to roll Arcanists, Diviners, and Cartographers boxes properly before opening them with the following suffixes. For Arcanists and Diviners, we want to go for contains flat additional items first, or a percentage increased quantity of contained items second. For Cartographers strong boxes, we want to first look for the plus to chest level. This is because we want to get higher tiers of map drops from the chest. If we do get the plus to chest level, we can always regal, or if we were chaos spamming, hope for the quantity rolls on top of it. Here are also some deadly mods that you may want to watch out for when you're opening a box. Valuable ambush exclusive uniques include the Void Eye, which provides a very powerful plus 5 levels to a socketed gem. This is very useful for auras like Discipline, which will grant you a lot more base energy shield per level added to the gem. Invasion was the third hardcore league, released alongside Ambush, and introduces powerful unique invasion bosses to zones. These bosses, like Rogue Exiles, use player skills to deal, evade, and mitigate damage. Many bosses use Vol versions of skill gems as well. Most all of the invasion bosses can be considered dangerous, as their damage and skill pools grow with zone levels. Invasion bosses are larger in size than their base monster type, and are also surrounded by normal rarity support monsters. You should always be aware if there is an invasion boss within your zone, as they can be very deadly if you are not prepared. Invasion bosses have improved loot tables like all other unique mini-bosses. Valuable League-exclusive uniques for invasion include the Void Eye, as mentioned in Ambush. Rampage was the 4th softcore league released alongside Beyond that introduced player Rampage that was built up by killing monsters within a 5-second timer. Every time a monster was killed within this timer, it reset and added a count to your Rampage kill streak. At certain intervals, you would cast certain spells or gain power-ups. You would also gain the following stats per 10 Rampage stacks. As a side note, these stacks pair very nicely with the Scourge Terrorclaw unique, which applies minion reductions and increases to you, effectively giving you double the Rampage bonus. Here is a table of the 13 tiers of effects that concur on certain kill counts. In general, you will more than likely be repeating the first 5 tiers depending on your clear speed and the pack sizes of monsters in the zones you're in. Rampage would definitely be best used in scenarios where you're going to be encountering high density of monsters, generally in high tier maps with large pack quantity sizes. Valuable League exclusive uniques to look for in Rampage include Null and Void. These provide elemental status ailment dispel on Rampage as well as 1.5 seconds of physical damage immunity. They also give you the Rampage modifier, again allowing you to gain Rampage without the League modifier. Shadows and Dust. These create a smoke cloud, blinding enemies and providing Unholy Might on Rampage. Unholy Might provides 30% of your physical damage added as chaos damage. This is very powerful. These gloves also give you the Rampage modifier, allowing you to gain Rampage without the League modifier. Beyond was the 4th hardcore league released alongside Rampage, and it introduced powerful Beyond monsters into the world of Eirikeiken. Upon killing enemies, small red globule portals are left behind, leaving a trace of the connection to the Beyond. If enough monsters are killed in close proximity, these small globules combine to create portals to the Beyond, attracting in powerful Beyond monsters. These monsters have unique art, are generally blood red, and come with one rare monster, can be a Nemesis monster, and a pack of magic monsters. If you are to kill even more monsters in close proximity, you will open an even larger portal summoning in unique Beyond bosses. These bosses can be very difficult to deal with depending on the zone modifiers and the character you are playing. Here are the bosses that spawn, and what to watch out for in their deadliness. These bosses will be listed from least deadly to most deadly. Ephage, Crackling Sky, casts a Vol Storm Call that deals consistent lightning damage to your character, constantly interrupting energy shield regeneration, or just being a nuisance. He also casts a Ball Lightning supported by a greater multiple projectiles all around him, which can overwhelm your character if they are too close. However, he is mostly lightning warping around, so you can never catch him. Tistache, Hungering Flame, summons Raging Spirits and casts Vol Flame Blast that can overlap and deal pretty decent damage. These should always be avoided, and you don't have to kill the summon Raging Spirits as they despawn after a certain amount of time. You just have to create enough space for yourself to be able to take him down. Name Bending Stone. He moves to you with a Leap Slam and uses close-range melee attacks as well as a multiple projectile explosion. He does hit very fast and he hits very hard. It is well advised to avoid his melee range. Hast Unrelenting Force. He casts an Ice Spear supported by greater multiple projectiles, as well as a Vol Ice Spear that fires those projectiles in a 360-degree arc. Make sure to have a freeze immunity flask for this boss as you will be frozen all the time. Behemoth Shifting Darkness. The second most dangerous boss, since he casts Vol Detonate Dead as soon as he spawns. This means if you don't see him coming, he will detonate all of the corpses on your screen and most likely kill you within one shot. He also casts a normal Detonate Dead and attacks from range with a bow. A Baxoth, the end of all that is. He is the most dangerous of them all, having all of the powers of the previous bosses in one. That deals a lot of damage. Luckily, he is very rare to spawn and you will not frequently see him. In all my time of rolling Beyond on my maps, I've only managed to see him a couple of times. Beyond is a very fun league to play, bringing a lot of chaos and danger where safety normally is, and killing the monsters. It is also worth noting that you cannot receive map drops from Beyond monsters. Valuable league exclusive uniques to look for in Beyond include the Harvest. The Leech and Flask charge on critical strike here is the major benefit to this item, making it a very valuable for flask sustaining builds. Torment was the 5th softcore league released alongside Bloodlines that introduced Tormented Spirits into zones. Tormented Spirits are green ghosts that can infest rare and unique monsters while passing through and empowering all other monsters. They will run from the player in fear, letting the player guide them in the direction they wish to go. However, this is not always the case, and more likely than not, they will just go in a corner and ignore you. Letting a ghost empower or infest a monster will grant the monster special powers, and also improving their drops depending on the ghost type. They are generally only worth the hassle to invest rare or unique monsters if those monsters are nearby. Here are a couple spirits that are worth chasing around. There are no major value League exclusive uniques to look out for this league. Bloodlines was the 5th hardcore league released alongside Torment that introduced bloodline modifiers to magic monsters. These modifiers make magic monsters more difficult to defeat as they have more mechanics to be aware of. Bloodline monsters are identified by their purple color versus their standard blue of a normal magic monster. Their bloodline mod is denoted by the purple text underneath their name. Some dangerous bloodline modifiers to look out for include Corrupted Bloodline. Similar to Corrupting Blood from Nemesis, except here the Corrupting Blood stack is gained from the monster's death rather than on hit. Flame, Frost, and Stormbearers. Each monster drops a large, timed area of effect explosion of their respective element type. These do a lot of damage and need to be avoided or they can result in an untimely character death. Heralds of the Obelisk. Each monster drops an obelisk that can cast a random lightning spell. The most deadly of these is the Ball Lightning, which can kill a character before they even see it. Lightning Warp can also be deadly, as these will chase you around the map endlessly until you kill the rest of the Bloodline pack. Obelisk disappear after the Bloodline monsters are all killed. And finally, Necrovigils. This is the most annoying Bloodline mod, in that these monsters drop a small green circle on death where the other Bloodline monsters cannot die in, so you have to bait the monsters around to kill all of them, or bring around a detonate corpse to destroy their corpses to remove the green circle. There are no major value league exclusive uniques to look out for in this league. Warbands is the 6th softcore league released alongside the Tempest League, and introduces warring clans of warbands throughout zones. These warbands are groups of unique enemies that use player skills to deal damage, mitigate, and evade damage, much like Rogue Exiles. However, they do not drop a full set of items like Rogue Exiles, but still have an improved drop table. There are 4 warbands factions, each based on a damage type. They also have a dedicated home map that the warband resides in as bosses. Brine Rots deal lightning damage, and their home map is the Shipyard map. Mute Winds deal cold damage, and their home map is the Sulphur Waste map. Red Blades deal fire damage, and their home map is the Beacon map. And Renegades deal chaos damage, and their home map is the Overgrown Ruin. Each faction has basic lower ranking types, such as Scouts or Trackers, which operate much like a weaker Rogue Exile, but hunt in greater numbers. They also have Warband Leaders that come in to assist the lower ranking Scouts at higher levels. These leaders have very powerful skill combinations and can be very deadly. Each faction of warbands can also drop certain item bases of magic rarity with a signature mod on them, just like Forsaken Master's signature mods. Valuable league exclusive uniques to look for in warbands include the Steppen Urds, which provide a very large ES base, a maximum movement speed roll on boots, and they make you immune to desecrated ground, which is very useful for anybody that does not have Chaos Inoculation. Tempest is the 6th hardcore league released alongside the Warbands League and introduces roaming area of effect Tempests. They have similar appearance to a Curse's area of effect with a more decorated border, appearing randomly only for 4 seconds before detonating. Each Tempest incurs different effects and buffs based on the type they are and what enters them. These buffs will be applied to the players or monsters if they are within the Tempest upon detonation. Similar to Flasks, you can have multiple Tempest effects on you at once, but you cannot stack the same Tempest buffs. This will only refresh their duration. Like with Domination Shrines, you will want to try and take these buffs whenever you can to gain more power than the monsters. Tempests come with prefixes and suffixes that affect the buffs they provide. Here are some useful and dangerous Tempest prefixes to watch out for. Some interesting suffixes to keep an eye out for are There are no major value league exclusive uniques to look out for in this league. Talisman League is the first league to begin the standard where both softcore and hardcore variants share the same mechanics. It is also the 13th entry to the Path of Exile's temporary league system. It introduces new exclusive amulet bases that are worn by certain rare monsters, indicated by a green talisman symbol over their head. The talisman provide the monster with unique buffs depending on their base type. When killed, they will drop the worn amulet in a corrupted state at a random rarity. The player must pick up the amulet to avoid other monsters that are drawn to its power from picking it back up and taking the power for themselves. Now, bear with me, the talisman system is very confusing, and you will probably get lost in this, but I'll do my best to explain. Talismans work on a tier system with a total of 4 tiers, each tier providing different and stronger implicit properties. Tiers can be identified in the following manner. A tier 1 will have a white string, a tier 2 will have a black string, a tier 3 will have a red string, and a tier 4 will have a blue string. You will only be able to find tier 1 talismans in the wild from slain talisman-wielding monsters. To upgrade these talismans, you must sacrifice 5 of the same base and tier talismans to a stone altar found randomly in zones. When sacrificing these talismans, each talisman adds a 20% chance for the resulting talisman to be of that same rarity. So, placing 3 rare talismans and 2 magic talismans in the altar will result in a 60% chance of a rare talisman and a 40% chance of a magic talisman return. Now, when placed into the altar, a talisman-wielding unique monster will spawn, greater than the lowest item level of the talisman sacrificed. For simplicity, I will not go into the details of how the item level is calculated for the sacrifice talisman, but for now we can just know that it will be higher than the lowest level item level you put in. Now, this process of sacrificing to the stone altar must be repeated to gain the higher level tiers of talismans. Now let's take a look at some of the dangerous tier 1 talismans that you will actually encounter while fighting monsters. The Bonespire base spawns patches of spiked ground that deal damage over time. It applies a debuff similar to bleeding, but it cannot be removed with a bleeding flask, so you will have to outleech or regen it. Break Rib talismans emit shockwaves which cause knockback and deal physical damage, making it difficult to get in close to monsters if you're melee. Dead Hand will spawn leeches when damaged, and after a short time these leeches will explode, dealing chaos damage. Definitely an issue if you don't have chaos resistance. Now, these effects only occur when the monsters are wearing them. When you're wearing them, you will just have the bonuses of the implicit and any explicit properties. Talisman also introduced a new unique boss, Rigwald, the Wolven King. Rigwald can be fought by sacrificing 5 tier 3 talismans to the stone altar. Rigwald is quite the annoying boss to fight and has many mechanics that are very cheesy. He can also be found as a map boss in the Lair and the Dark Forest maps. On a personal note, I found Talisman to be a very tedious league, requiring a lot of stash space and calculations just to figure out the tiers and item levels of the talisman you had to get to any of the boss fights. Valuable league exclusive uniques to look for in Talisman include the Wretch. This is a very powerful unique for builds heavily invested in Leech, providing them a large damage bonus from a defense. This item cannot actually drop from monsters, but is crafted from 2 other unique belts that do drop from monsters. These belts are the Feast Bind and the Famine Bind. If you are ambitious, you can farm Rigwald from the Talismans for a chance at his unique items. These are Rigwald's Quills, Rigwald's Savagery, and Rigwald's Command. The 2 weapons synergize very well with each other. Perandus is the 14th league and introduced another way of obtaining unique and rare items through a fine man called Kadiro. Kadiro was able to hide many of the Perandus family treasures in secret caches all around Rayclast. These caches can contain various items, but will always drop Perandus coins. Caches will appear randomly in zones and are guarded by groups of monsters who will be revived on death until the cache is exhausted of revives and is unlocked. Some caches will also be guarded by unique mini-bosses that upon their death, the chest will open immediately. The Perandus coins can be saved and exchanged with Kadiro, also randomly found in zones, for various currencies, rare or unique items, generally for a fair price. Here are some useful Perandus chest types and their contents. It is a good idea to save all of your coins for a bro deal from Kadiro that beats the market exchange ratio of Perandus coins to the currency sale type of that item. Some valuable league exclusive uniques to look for in Perandus include the Perandus Manor map. This is a very rare map obtained by purchasing it only from Kadiro. A Varanastra. This is a very strong weapon, as it is considered to be all one-handed weapon types, and fully benefits from all of the nodes or buffs to any one-handed weapon type. The 7 League Steps. Oh boy, how I love to go fast. These are excellent leveling boots that provide a 50% movement speed modifier, that is 20% faster than the maximum craftable movement speed affix. Prophecy is the 15th league and introduced an additional questing system along with upgraded uniques referred to as fated uniques. Prophecies work like a second quest system with various rewards for leveling and endgame alike. They can be purchased from Navali towns or hideouts with silver coins, which are found the same as regular currency through drops. Each prophecy costs 1 silver coin, and you can have a maximum of 7 prophecies active at a time. Prophecies are also tied to the difficulty that they are purchased in. Once you trigger a prophecy in a zone or complete one, it will be removed from your prophecy page. You can also remove a prophecy manually from the prophecy page by sealing it with Navali. This will cost more silver coins to do, and will turn the prophecy into an item that can be traded or used to be placed back into the prophecy page. It is worth using your coins as you get them in hopes of useful rewards if you are in the beginning of a league. As the league goes on, it is more worth saving your silver coins to use them only in the endgame rather than on new characters you may be making. Some prophecies that carry high value and are generally worth sealing and selling are the main league-exclusive uniques that are valuable to Prophecy are really the prophecies themselves, as well as the fated uniques you can acquire from those prophecies. Essence is the 16th league and introduced a new type of crafting currency. Essences function like orbs of alchemy or chaos orbs, depending on their tier, and roll an item with 1 guaranteed affix while leaving the remaining random, giving us some sort of deterministic crafting. Essences are obtained from frozen essence monsters that are randomly spawned in zones. These monsters will have a nameplate above them denoting which essences they contain. They are always a rare monster base, and each essence empowers the monster with a special power, such that monsters that have more essences have more life and attack types. Monsters can contain up to 4 essences, each up to tier 5. Essences can come between tiers 1 and 5 naturally and be upgraded all the way to tier 7. The number of fingers on an essence icon denotes its tier. They can be upgraded by rendering 3 of the same tier, giving 1 of the next tier. As the tier increases, so does the power of the affixes and how many base types it can affect. You can also come across remnants of corruption that can be used on frozen essence monsters, resulting in an unpredictable outcome similar to a Vol orb. The following can happen if you corrupt an essence in a monster. 1. You could add another essence to the monster. 2. All contained essences are increased by 1 tier. 3. Monsters are broken free with empowered stats and no changes are made to the essence. Or, if the monster contains Essence of Dread, Envy, Misery, or Scorn, they may be upgraded to Hysteria, Horror, Delirium, or Insanity. This is the only way to obtain these types of essences, and they are very valuable and always worth corrupting an essence monster that has these contained in them. There are many base types and uses for essences, so I won't be able to include all of the different ones, but here are some useful ones for most builds. Contempt, Greed, Woe, and Zeal. Essences are great for crafting items that you may need while leveling, or in the early parts of a league, or even making some good endgame items if you are lucky. There are no major value league exclusive uniques to look out for in this league. Breach is the 17th and latest league, which introduced monsters from an alternate dimension, similar to Beyond, but accessed in a different way. You can access these monsters through breaches visualized by grasping purple hands found randomly in zones. Walking near one of these hands will open up a breach, expanding a circle, revealing more enemies. Breaches are timed, and killing these enemies makes the breach expand further and remain open longer. There are 5 breach types, 3 elemental-based, 1 physical-based, and 1 chaos-based. Esh is the lightning-based breach, and it contains many spiders that lightning warp around and place balls of lightning that hit in an AoE. Tull is the cold-based breach, and it has enemies that fire frostblade projectiles, place chilling vortexes, and has large pocked throwers. Zoff is the fire-based breach. It has a different take on fire dogs that create large fire vortexes that deal fire damage in an AoE. Ul-Natal is the physical-based breach, and it has Carrions as their enemy base type. They fire projectiles that can apply bleeding, and bone spires can come out of the ground, blocking pathing. Cheula is the Chaos breach, and it has large Stygian revenants that spray chaos projectiles at you. The elemental breaches are the most common, while the physical is rarer, with the chaos being the rarest. You must also be careful to keep within the breach, as breach monsters that venture outside of the breach will become invulnerable, but still be able to attack you. Each breach also has a boss associated with it that has the same name as the base. These bosses can appear in regular breaches and perform unique attacks that the player must be aware of. They cannot be killed in a regular breach, but the more damage you deal to them, the more splinters they will drop. Once they reach 1 life, they will teleport away, dropping the maximum amount of splinters. Now, splinters are used to create a breach stone to access the respective breach's boss domain. Once you collect 100 of these splinters, you can combine them by splitting the stack, shift-clicking it, and then placing them back together to create its breach stone. This stone can then be used in a map device, just like a map, to gain access to that domain. The elemental bosses Esh, Tool, and Zoth are all level 70, the physical boss Ul Natal is level 75, and the chaos boss Cheula is level 80. In order to reach these bosses, you must complete a breach before them with a time limit on it. However, each monster kill results in expansion on the timer, meaning you have to kill as fast as possible to make sure the breach does not close. You will not fail if you die, but the timer will still be ticking, so make sure you drop portals every so often if you're weary that you're going to die. You will have to maintain this speed throughout the entire map until the breach edge reaches the end where the portal to the boss is, and then the timer will disappear, giving you as much time as needed to kill the boss. The timer gets much shorter as the level of breach stone increases, so the elemental boss timers are much more forgiving than the Cheula timer. Each breach base has certain unique items that they can drop, either from the regular monsters or just the boss alone. These are generally low-level uniques that are mid-tier or weak. However, breach bosses can also drop a blessing of their respective base type that can be used on their unique items, upgrading these unique items into more powerful versions similar to the uniques from Prophecy. This makes these uniques work very well for the whole spectrum of leveling and endgame. Breaches can also drop breach ring bases, which are corrupted rings similar to talismans that have a special implicit but always drop rare. The implicit of the ring doubles the ring's affixes while you're inside of a breach. Like Beyond, this league adds a lot more monsters to the zone and increases the drop quantities and experience gained. But, unlike Beyond, the rare breach monsters can still drop maps, making them excellent for high-tier map sustain. Valuable league exclusive uniques to look for in Breach include all of the Cheula items, of course, Hand of Wisdom in Action, and Zoth's Blood. So when do we want to use League Stones? Now that we know what all the leagues do, when and where should we be using them? Well, I think this is a matter of personal preference, and you can totally use whatever combination you see fit, or what you think would be fun, and you wouldn't be hurting yourself. But of course, just like everything in Path of Exile, it can be min-maxed if desired. I won't claim to know the best combination since I have not played with the availability of all these leagues together at one time. Now, I consider the game split into two parts, leveling and mapping. For leveling, that is from levels 1 to 68 in the story content, I have some suggestions on which leagues I would run or not run. I am basing these suggestions on what the league adds to the zones and the value of the uniques that could drop in them, being that we want to save leagues where we have high value uniques for either sale, or using them in maps where we can get massive amounts of monster quantity increases the chances of getting a drop of them. Now, you don't have to follow this word for word, as I am not proving that this is the best method, but just recommendations. I would suggest using at least one of the following league stones while leveling: Anarchy, Ambush, Essence, Prophecy, or Perandus. These league stones will provide a good jumpstart and ease on gear progression while leveling, as well as some bonus experience. Torment may be another good option to add in if you are using Anarchy to get some chance of infesting rogue exiles for better gear drops. I would suggest maybe using one of the following league stones while leveling. Use of these would be more situational or used later on in leveling once you are approaching Merciless. Tempest. Since Tempest can incur very deadly mods on monsters, it can make leveling more difficult. Tempest also provide a very good buff for endgame use, receiving more improved drops, possible experience Tempest, and massive character buffs for map clearing. I would suggest saving the following league stones while leveling: Beyond, Bloodlines, Breach, and Nemesis. These leagues are best saved for endgame mapping, as all of these leagues add monsters to zones. Since Bloodlines and Nemesis add magic and rare monsters, they can greatly benefit our experience and map returns, as magic and rare monsters drop +1 and +2 item levels, respectively. Stacked with the map's implicit quantity bonuses, there will be massive amounts of monsters in maps, also providing more chances to receive the respective league uniques. Now, any other league stones found can just be used to fill the other league stone slots if you are short on the suggested league stones, or just want to play with some other leagues. Mapping is generally performed after level 68 when you begin rolling and using maps in the map device. For this, I would suggest using at least one or more of the following league stones while mapping: Anarchy, Ambush, Beyond, Bloodlines, Breach, Nemesis, Perandus, or Domination. As mentioned in the leveling section, these leagues add massive amounts of mob density, giving better chance at map progression and sustain, as well as chances of getting some of the most valuable uniques. I would suggest trying to put as many of these together as possible to garner the most mob density out of your maps. Of course, you must be careful and understand the strengths and weaknesses of your character to not overload the map and then not be able to complete it. Now, of course, you can add in other league stones, only using one of the suggested leagues at a time or none at all. It's all up to what you find fun. Another very interesting turn of events was the addition of ancient Reliquary keys. These are another item that can be found during the Legacy League, and they offer the chance to obtain very powerful relic unique items. Relic uniques are identified by a glowing green-yellow nameplate and are original versions of unique items as they were first introduced to the game. This means you could find a relic Comb's Heart, which would provide 1000 base life instead of the current 500 base life. That's nuts! Ancient Reliquary keys are used in a map device and open a zone with a large decorated chest. This chest can drop a wide variety of relic uniques. Rare uniques like Chavron's Wrappings or Comb's Heart will have a much lower chance of dropping over something like a Silver Branch. There is also no duplicate protection, meaning that you could get the same item from the relic chest in back-to-back runs. Which basically means I'm going to get a back-to-back Comb's Heart. Another thing to note is that relic uniques cannot be divined to change their explicit values. Using a divine on a relic unique will change it to the current version of the unique, so you're stuck with the stats the item comes with. In conclusion, the Legacy League brings back a massive amount of content with some new flair that you can customize to your liking and get some really great rewards from it before you move on to 3.0. Especially the chances at getting those Legacy uniques you may have never gotten the chance to get back in the day. I believe it's going to be a great league to play, and I cannot wait to get grinding for my own headhunter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon, Exiles.